Something that I hear a lot doing home assessments is my house feels drafty and leaky, so I must need to replace my windows. And that's usually not the case. It's probably not your windows. Now, if you're waking up every morning and there's condensation all the way around your window because there's single pane aluminum window, then yeah, a big part of the problem is probably the windows. But if you're waking up in the morning, there's no condensation, and you have double pane vinyl windows, which means the framing is vinyl, not some form of metal, and there's 2 panes of glass in between me and the outside, well, your windows probably aren't the biggest problem. And the window industry wants you to believe they are, and don't get me wrong, there usually is room for improvement in any area of the house. And so if a window upgrade is in the budget, then sure, upgrade your windows to a higher level of efficiency. But the budget usually doesn't account for a huge window replacement because it's pretty costly. And there's a lot cheaper, easier things that can be done to actually improve your draftiness. You see, it's not wrong to assume that because windows are essentially a hole in the structure of the house, that they're drafty. But the bigger holes are actually things that you can't see, ironically. Let's just take a step back and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. You see, this is what's called a cantilever. And here's what it looks like on the outside. So on the outside, this bumps out from the building. It doesn't rest on anything. It's a outshoot from the foundation. So with this cantilever, we need to know that this cavity may be leading to some leakage, whether through conductive or convective heat loss. And it's creating somewhat of a hole in the home because it's not well insulated, and they usually aren't. Let me show you what I mean with thermal imaging. I have here a thermal camera. It's just an attachment on my phone, and it's gonna show us some temperature differentials that we can't really see and maybe are small enough that we can't quite feel, but are leading to long-term losses in heat. On this cantilever, you can see the heat where the light's pouring in. Anywhere that's orange is going to be warmer than anywhere that's blue by comparison. So we can see where it's warm, where the window's pouring in, because the sun is directly shining on this part of the building. There's this thin blue line around the windows where we have a little bit of leakage. But we notice that this whole spot is actually a little bluer, besides this one spot that I was actually just sitting in, which is why there's heat there. And this spot that's bluer is where we have a lot of heat loss, especially around the edges of this cantilever, because the edges aren't well sealed. And again, they usually aren't. And so we have the thin blue line around the windows, but a thicker blue line around the cantilever, even up the sides where the cantilever isn't sealed all the way around, and especially at the top where we can see heat loss through the different framing members. So all the way around that we have heat loss. On the seat itself, we have a bit of heat loss where we can see the cooler structure, and then down below especially, we have quite a bit of heat loss around the edge of this cantilever with some major gaps and then gaps around the framing members itself. So in this spot, it is a little leaky from the windows, but the windows are not the main problem. The bigger hole is the one you cannot see with your eye. The bigger hole is actually the cantilever. It needs to be insulated better, and it needs to be air sealed because it's leading to a lot of leakiness. This is where the draftiness in the house is coming from. Let me give you another example. I live in what's called a split level home, which means that it's usually a lot warmer up here than it is down here. And it would be easy to assume that this part of the home is a lot colder because the front door's right here and I can see a little bit of a gap in it, or this window's right here and so this small area gets really cold. But that wouldn't be telling the full story. You see, these are probably only small parts of the leakage. The real leakage is what's happening underneath me. You see, underneath that split level section is the garage. These are the stairs that lead up to the first level, and this is the portion that I was just standing on with the tile by the front door. And these are big areas of air leakage because they're often overlooked for insulation and air sealing. And so this is the real reason that that tile is so cold in the morning. I'm gonna show you what I'm seeing as I work my way up this stairwell. That's, again, remember, all floor over garage, or in your own home, it may be floor over crawl space or floor over unfinished basement. But as I use my thermal and work my way up these stairs, you're gonna see that they're all pretty cold. There's a little bit of warmth that's coming mostly from the light here, but especially the edges of this stairwell are leaking pretty bad. And as the temperature differential shift, you'll see that this corner of the actual floor over garage is really leaky around the edges. This whole area is blue. Now, there's definitely leakage around the doorway, so I have a lot to improve on that, but that's a little easier to improve as I can weather strip the door. This portion in the floor over garage, that as I walk up, you see temperature differential shift, especially under the stairs themselves, are pretty cold. So where do we go from here? It was maybe even easier thinking that the windows were the problem, and once you had enough budget, you could just replace them and fix all the draftiness in the home. Well, I have some good news, and it's just two simple things. One is knowing. You gotta know where the gaps in your home are. And hopefully you've already started that process in this video, helped explain how energy moves in a home, and how the biggest gaps are sometimes the ones you can't see. And then two, it's probably best to get someone who's trained in this, an home energy advisor or professional, to guide you through a process of what it looks like to improve those gaps in a home. Using specialized tools like blower doors and infrared, like I was using earlier, they can show you these gaps and then help you look towards solutions in improving your insulation and air sealing so that we can maintain our temperature, improving our comfort and our energy costs. So next time you feel a bit of that draft, or you think that your home is just a bit leaky and you can hear the wind blowing, remember it's not just the windows.